Okay, welcome. I had to start the recording again. I got this tickle in my throat. I tried to drink some medicinal tea from Crete. Crete is still playing tricks with me, I think. It's the new moon, and that's very exciting because we could use an infusion of like freshness, something fresh. And I was reflecting as I attempted to start this class a second ago. I was reflecting on you shouldn't take yourself so seriously. And only every once in a while can I do that. I mainly take myself way too seriously. And the last 4 days has been, oh my God, too much serious. And I was really like going down a whole like rabbit hole, of like, am I gonna keep it together? And I opened up a social media app. And one of the astrologers I follow had made a post about the current Sun Jupiter conjunction. And this is a really important one for right now. And this is also like one of the major flavors of this moon. When we situate a full moon or a new moon, the sun and the moon are in the same place. That's what makes it a new moon. When it's a full moon, the sun and the moon are across the chart. They're in opposite places. So when we want to get into a new moon and figure out what's going on in there, what are the flavors and what's happening, then we're going to look at where sun and moon are. And I practice Jyotish, sidereal astrology, and we have a system of lunar mansions, the nakshatras. And it's like two things. One, it's fractal epistemology. So it's taking a sign and breaking it down into 4 parts. But more importantly, it might take me a hot minute to do the research. And I don't know when I'm going to do that because I have so many research assignments right now. It's a little insane. But I believe that this wisdom, ancestral wisdom of these moon houses, these moon temples, originates with the great goddess tradition of greater Mediterranean, North Africa. And this is originally one of the goddess's technologies. And so it's really the original system for these moon phases. The constellations will come later. Planets are planets. Mm-hmm. The storytelling of the planets is going to come from different cultural traditions as well. But what would have been crystal clear to the ancestors is the moon, very bright. And this map of the 27, 28 lunar temples, if you will. And then observing humans born under the specific lunar temple and their characteristics. Moon equals mind. And mind is the name of the game. Mind is your faculty of perception. And so everything, how you feel, is based on your perception of the situation. What you want is also based on your perception of what you need. And so on and so forth. Since the ultimate truth of existence is paradoxical, many thoughts, if we trace them all the way back to their origin points, we will find paradoxes. And that's the game. So when you take yourself too seriously, Yoli, you're not playing the game. You're caught in the mental construct, under the influences. So I opened up this social media post, and it's about this Jupiter Sun conjunction where Jupiter is combust. And Jupiter and Sun and Moon are all at the same exact point. And that's super significant. Like they're not even like in the same vicinity. Ooh, they're at the same exact point. And one of the things that I read about Jupiter, Sun combustion, it's Jupiter combustion with Kazimi in Western astrology, is like Jupiter's gonna be a little bit held back. And so there might be a little like loss of confidence, sense of scarcity, whatever is the house and or the sign. Well, we know what the sign is Gemini, but whatever house this is in for you. For me, it's my second house. Family, income, speech, like this. And so yeah, I was feeling like all of those themes, it's like held back, like it's not flowing properly. But then what did I do? I started reacting to that, which is basically just adding fuel to the fire. And so, through the help of two important tools, rest and the Mother Peace Tarot, I got my head back in order, get some clarity, slowed it down, and was able to like laugh at myself a little bit. So that's all these tools are for, right? This astrology, this tarot, any other kind of oracle. It's just possible insight, themes into how we are, how we're being, how we're living. A little bit of heads up. That's sure helpful. And other than that, it really is all about the growing of the capacity to hold the mirror up and see ourselves. Like that. Now, here in the earthly realm, we're also part of multiple collectives. We are all part of a global collective. Then we got human collective. We got collective of wombs. All sorts of collectives. We got cultural collectives. We got land collectives. We got spiritual archetype collectives. You can pop up in a few things that connect with past life, but let's not get too crazy. So then what we see, because it's fractal, remember what we see, well, in this case, is holographic. Third time. What we see in the individual realm, oh, goodness gracious, we're going to see that reflected in the collective as well. And it sure has been a spicy week. The last 7 days. It's not even 7 days, to be honest with you, but there's some things that are also ongoing. We just passed the summer solstice. That was June 20th. Today is June 25th, and the new moon is exact. And the summer solstice portal is a very important portal. I've just been to so many Neolithic temples, 6,000 plus years old, where these ancestors, built the gateways and the doorways of the main shrines so that on specific solstice and equinox points, when the sun would rise, the light would shine all the way in and shine upon the main altar. The solstices and the equinoxes are extremely significant days and nights for us. And really, only if you're like witchy do you even know when the day is, or perhaps something you could do on it. And there's a 5-day portal on either side. So in the 5-day portal, we're not really supposed to initiate anything new. It's for being in the portal, It's for resting, creativity. Summer solstice is certainly for celebration. So it's just today that we're concluding the last of the summer solstice portal. We're right into the newness of this new moon, and we'll see kind of what themes are arising around that, which lunar temple it's in. Some of those curiosities were individual and collective levels. The Sun Jupiter exact combustion, so the complete and total, the Sun has enveloped Jupiter. That was yesterday, the 24th. But it was also the darkest of the dark moon, the end of the balsamic moon phase. And so that's a lot. You could be feeling the tiredness and the fatigue of leading right up to the start of the new moon, which is very common. The 5 days leading up to the new moon are very low energy. But then we had this Jupiter Sun combustion. But when it's totally exact, something very magical actually happens, where Jupiter gets like recharged in the center of our star. So there could have been like a breakthrough or something new yesterday, today, the time zones and all things, but certainly the 24th. And it could have been a mental breakthrough. It could have been something that came through the pipeline, like this. The summer solstice, we reviewed this in the last moon circle. The summer solstice was inside of, alongside something very fiery in terms of Mars Ketu, south node of the moon conjunction in Leo. And there was another conjunction in Western astrology called a yod. It's like a indication of a like moment of fate, more on the collective level. And I don't want to muck this one up. The yod is between Mars, Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. Finger of fate. It's a mathematics in the thing, like how it's formed. And this one in particular suggests some major turmoil, dramatic, turbulent events. And we saw that like the kind of date range was June 18 to 22. And that is exactly what we saw on the 20th, with the US entering Middle East conflict and bombing Iran. So we've got these indicators for very fiery. Mars is fire. Ketu is super fire. All in Leo, who's ruled by Mars, which is fire. You don't get fire. We got everybody there. Sorry, Leo's ruled by the sun, which is fire. So I was just thinking about my own chart. So with Leo, leadership. So we're just seeing like the world's dumbest leadership possible right now. Brazen, reactive, no kind of sense. No sense for the impact, the long-term impact, and no game plan. There's no plan here. It's just brash, egoistic action. I will reiterate something that I said in the course that we're running right now, Sex, Death, and Alchemy Relationships, because we had that class on Sunday just passed. And I think it's very important to not ignore, the events that are right in front of you. That's what's most important is like, what is the thing that needs the most attention? So we had to triage a bit. And something I want to, express here is that this isn't real war that's being made. I'm not talking as much about ongoing genocide as much as I'm talking about conflicts and perceived conflicts. What this is all about is profiteering. The very sad thing is that capitalism hasn't really evolved at all. It's still the same system that it has been. There have been certain iterations of it, and other than the latest update, which is neoliberal economics, which was basically taking any sort of ethics and morals that may have been present completely off of the system. Like in my mind, I want to say, oh, the training wheels came off, but that doesn't really actually convey truly what neoliberal economics enabled in terms of free market trade and corporations having no checks and balances whatsoever in a global economic context, which allowed corporations and countries, nations as corporations to go and take so much from countries with less economic power and not be held accountable for the damage done. Because literally the corporations can't be held accountable. Like what the hell is that? A game. Really the only aha moments that came up during capitalism's short life is war, the stoking of economic growth through global conflict. And so these people are just playing the game. And these people are the global leaders, your G8, your G20. They're just playing the game that they know, which is to encourage and stoke profit through war and warmongering. War humps economies. And all of the countries have so much debt. Like the whole thing is thinking. And so they're just doing like whatever they know how to do with no end game and no plan. The unjustness of it all is that there's absolutely no care for human rights, for the sanctity of the environment, and there's no planning for the future. And we are living through a little micro moment here of like complete loss of sanity in these regards. Very destructive, very troublesome. And we must hold some steadfastness in our own ways to consume the right amount of trustworthy information on the situations, to help where we can, and to also steward our best health, vitality, and longevity, connection to our gifts, so that we can add to the solutions as the opportunities present themselves. That's a difficult message because it sounds very bypassing. Like, oh, just do you, and and that's you saving the world. Like, no, I didn't say that. Not that. So, like this, we have to be taking care that we can be around for when the opportunities will present themselves for solutions. I I continue to use prayer myself, like let us move through this swiftly and to its utmost completion, you know. Let this senseless violence end. Let humanity return to humans. But we will need all the healers and all the educators to do it. That's basically what I'm saying. So we want to fix everything right now, and that is a noble call, and it's not wrong. And at the same time, we have to make sure that we are rested enough and prepared for when we can make a really big impact. And I believe in that opportunity. I believe it will happen. I don't know when though. This feels a little bit bleak at the moment, right? So that's another difficult paradox to manage in the summer season. You got all this yang energy, all this expressive energy, all this, bruja. It could be fun bruja. But we have this south node of the moon at play in all this fiery energy. And so we have to be so careful of headless activity. And I got caught up in headless activity last week. I'll be real honest with you guys. I mean, I've been honest with you before that I like to smoke weed, you know, and I had my moon time and all the cramps and all the things, and there I was in the just the like store, just kind of all the different things in the store, and the island of Crete, and I'm buying like a beach umbrella and this, that, and then looking over there, and there's just this like whole kiosk with like welcome, welcome. There's a whole you showed up at a great time. I'm telling an anecdote of headless activity, yours truly. And there was this whole stand with all this weed grown in Crete, but like real official, kind of thing. I said, oh my God, that's amazing. There's nothing more I would like to do than just have a puff right now for these cramps, you know? And when I took the thing, I looked at the packaging, I was like, do you think this is like enhanced? It said it was enhanced. I'm like, oh, I wonder, And I got some rolling papers and all that. And then finally the opportunity presented itself. It was in the nighttime. I said, oh, this is so good. I made this giant cup of tea. So I'm just going to have a couple of puffs and a little split and sit with these beautiful pine trees. And everything's going to be great. And oh, yeah, feel free to laugh. And I have this little split, sit with this tree. I find this little like nook that I can like sit on the tree and I'm communing with this tree. I stand up and it all disappeared. I had no idea where I was, when it was. It all like dropped out. I'm looking at the scene and I'm like, I think I'm in Greece. I don't know where I am though. It's all like moving and pulsing in a lot of different ways. And I'm like, what just happened? What is happening? And then I had this dreaded feeling like, where is my child? I don't know where I am and I don't know where he is. And then I was just like, you know what? I don't think you're I'm like talking to myself. I don't think you're gonna solve this just in this moment. Let's walk this way. And I started walking and something felt familiar. And I came up and there was my friend's little room. And I was like, I think my room is next to her room, but I must sit down. I'm going to pass out. And I saw my cup of tea. And she came in, she's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm in like slow motion, like reaching for this cup. I grab this cup, you know. And I'm just like, this is not good. This is not good. And I was able to kind of piece it together. My room was next to her room. My child is in our room. Okay, let's get a handle on the fact that like you're not okay right now. Well, and I sat and I looked at the ocean and I tried to drink the tea. And I had to tell my friend what happened. And she was like, what? And I was like, I think I just got like dosed with something. I don't know. Whatever it is, I did it to myself. You know? And I tried to get a handle on things. And the water was helping until somebody else walked up and they were a totally different energy and they were talking so much. And then everything started spinning. And then the dry heaving began. And then from there, I kind of knew what to do. I was like, I'm going to chug a lot of water. I'm going to encourage whatever urge will come to happen, even though I don't know how this is going to help. But whatever it was, it helped. It was like grounding. And somehow I was able to lay down and do Yoga Nidra. And so that's what I did for the next like 5 hours. And then I got up and then I went back to bed and I was able to sleep, and I woke up in the morning and my child was obviously concerned. He's a teenager, so, you'll cut me some slack. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to tell you what I did to myself because I would like you to learn from my mistake. I was like, things aren't the way they were when I was a kid. You could just smoke a spliff and that was that. And nowadays, everything is like enhanced and bubonic chronic and made in some lab and, dosed with sprinkled and this and that. And, and it took me a second to like figure it out that yes, it was enhanced. And in that headless moment, I didn't even use the rolling paper. I used the paper that was like the first paper you pull off that you throw it. Like use that paper. When I took myself back over what happened, I was like, it's like I had no head. I just reached for the things and the things and the things with no awareness whatsoever. I can't say I have a lot of moments like that, but it was a real like, ooh, that's not anything we want to repeat, like ever. That's Ketu. And when I even trace back to the moment when I went into the store, it was also a very trickster kind of moment like that. And so all of June and all of July, that trickster fiery energy um is all of these 2 months. Be aware. Just be aware. Like and it might be something like this that you're just not thinking. You're just it was just a headless moment, you know. And that headless activity is also reflected in the leadership right now and all the things. It's like a fucking tragic moment, to be honest with you. So I'm sharing my own slight tragedy with you. And I actually think part of this lung thing is from like smoking from a paper that's not even a rolling paper. It's like, what the actual? And so, word of wise, word of warning, not really word of wise. I don't even think that's a saying. A word of warning is just like maybe the like rando kiosk at the side of the road in Crete wasn't the best idea. You know, you really should know. And I think that goes for alcohol and things also. I mean, I just think of all the places I've traveled in the world and all the like local booze I've drunken, you know, and all the luckily I don't drink anymore, so that one's I'm saved on that one. But it's all just so altered nowadays. Real head, you know, this headlessness can really seep in. So that is my personal anecdote. I don't ever try to feign holiness, you know, or perfection. I think when we have these, you know, giant fuck ups, it really just like makes us more human, you know. And but it's a learning, you know what I mean. And we should feel like we could grow a community that we could share our follies, and that's definitely an antidote to the pervasiveness of perfectionism as well. I know. But yeah, I definitely told my child all about that because you don't know what anything is nowadays. You know, not like the 80s. Hope you enjoyed that one. All right, so back on. So let's get into what this moon itself is, because that's really fun and exciting. Because it's a flavor change, right? So sun and moon and Jupiter are all in the nakshatra, this lunar temple called Ardra. And Ardra is a super fierce place, except luckily, not like fire fierceness. It's breakthrough time. And I was like, oh, what card? Like, tell me from the cards. Ace of Wands. I'm using the Mother Peace deck. It's my Ray fave. My friend Uma was telling me that this is actually the first card that they painted in the whole deck. The Ace of Wands. It signifies breakthrough. And that's what this moon is about. So, like, if you had breakthrough energy yesterday in the Jupiter vibes, in the Jupiter Sun Kazemi combustion vibes, possible, this moon is about breakthrough, except you're not going to like it. Like, it's not breakthrough that's all like fun and stuff. It's like breakthrough that came through the storm. So, I'm going to read to you a little bit from Bepin Bihari's Myths and Symbols of Vedic Astrology, and we can feel into a little bit this Ardra vibe. So it's in sidereal Gemini. That's ruled by Mercury. Its symbol is the human head, and it's often said to resemble a precious stone or a jewel, like a diamond. Its presiding deity is Rudra, the god of destruction, and its planetary ruler is Rahu, the north node of them. It's passion. There's a lot of passion energy here, fiery energy of transformation, like this. But the connection is actually like watery. So I'll read on. Ardra means green, fresh, soft, moist, not dry. Um, Hang on, filtering, la la la. So he's got a lot of storytelling in here. The meaning of Ardra is also indicated by the softness and freshness of new growth attributed to it, like this baby breaking through the egg. Ardra represents the mind or thinking capacity, the essential characteristic of human beings, symbolized by the human head. The nature of the mind is the ability to comprehend. This asterism refers to the power to comprehend generally and not with knowledge of anything in particular. The possibility of recognizing oneself, seeing the working of one's mind, and thereby acquiring self-knowledge also occurs through the mind. Such a comprehension that is the direct perception of a reality, whether within oneself or outside, is always new. Remember, we were talking about perception way in the first part. It does not assume any previous knowledge. Having become aware of one's existence under Mrigashira, that's the lunar temple just before, under Ardra, the individual looks, perceives, searches within as well as without, and through this mental activity arrives at the perception of things. The understanding of the relationships in which one exists is the outcome of the mind. It is the mind which imposes itself on the things we perceive and establishes connection with them. This faculty is generally described as intelligence. The ethereal nature of intelligence is comparable to the tenderness or freshness of any pure experience, like that of first love or affection. Ardra means freshness, wetness, and newness. Intelligence has the same qualities, which arise as a result of direct perception, which occurs through the inquiring mind, signified by the previous lunar temple, Mrigashira. The reference, while acting without self-identification with objects perceived, it can reveal the mysteries of the world and lead to release from material bondage. This is the goal of all spiritual practice. The other side of intelligence, making the individual self-conscious, induces them to lust after material attainments. This aspect of the asterism is suggested. The relating of the god Rudra to this asterism also points to the great potential inherent in it. Rudras are the mighty powers of the different aspects of Lord Shiva who have fallen into generation. The lust for immortality characterizes the middle part of this asterism under the rule of Saturn, while the Jupiterian influence associated with this first and last quarters shows the positive side of intelligence. The human head assigned to Ardra has additional meanings. The head is the seat of the brain and the other glands related to the mind, the jewel, like pituitary, the jewel in the head. The brain is formed according to our past karma, and on the basis of the present prompting of the mind, our future course of action is dependent. The possibilities of the human mind acting for constructive as well as for destructive goals are almost unlimited. That's facts. You can use it for good or you can use it for evil. That's very clear. No particular name is given for the jewel associated with Ardra. Gems have the capacity to absorb influences from the central storehouse of energy, the sun. Each gem concentrates certain forces and directs them to us. Gem therapy. These effects can act either for good or ill, depending on how they're used. Each individual also has uniqueness, like a gem. This depends on the special divine energy inherent in them. It is reflected through the activities of the mind, which is like gem through which the light of consciousness is reflected. The various factors relating to this asterism point to the same thing, the mind principle, which is dual in nature. It wreaks havoc on the life of ordinary people who seek fulfillment in the material world, while higher on the evolutionary scale, it induces one to seek spiritual knowledge and live in the reality of consciousness. The emanation from this asterism relates to the cosmic principle of mind, Mahat, which in yogic philosophy is the main element for the manifestation of the universe. Everything we were saying right at the start, that's cool, the confirmation there, right? And so something is about to transform. This is a transformative moon. It will depend on where sidereal Gemini is placed in your chart, which house. what you're going to experience thematically in terms of. So for me, it's the second house. I'm also having a Jupiter return, so Jupiter is passing over where it is in my chart. So that's a lot, right? As soon as Jupiter's feeling better, this will all feel better. And luckily, it's not like too slow of a moving planet. And who's going to move first is the sun. So the sun will end this combustion because the sun is pretty fast moving. It only spends 30 days in the sign. So I think it's another little bit or so, but not too much more. And then, July just around the corner. Um, Other planets that are moving on the move. So the faster moving things. Mercury is on the move. Mercury just showed up in sidereal Cancer and is going to be spending a little bit of time there because there'll be a Mercury retrograde next month. And nobody else is there, so it'll just depend on like what conjunctions are happening across the astrological chart. And Venus, I think Venus is really going to come in and kind of like brighten the day a little bit. So Venus is passing out of sidereal Aries and into sidereal Taurus, where they're going to be very happy. And because that's their sign, it'll be a little bit bumpy on the way in, like a bumpy landing. And then it's going to brighten up. And I think that's going to be a really nice, bright place there in sidereal Taurus. It's going to help, if you have any planets there or planets in, I think, like Sag, Pisces, Libra, Taurus. That should uplift. I think that'll also be helpful on the collective level in terms of peacemaking, and just some other energies that aren't so like the soul influence being fiery. We still have the outer planets conjoining where they're conjoining. It'll take a little bit more time for Mars to move out of sidereal Leo. While it's in sidereal Leo, it is aspecting Pluto, and Saturn and Neptune are having a conjunction in sidereal Pisces. That's pretty significant. Rahu and Aquarius also significant for the collective. And Uranus is, I think, Uranus is maybe still in Aries, and it'll come back into Taurus at some time. We'll get those dates. So there's a lot happening in the collective. A lot. We need to keep our cool. Whatever is transforming right now, let's pay attention for that clarity, because that's a true gift. Whatever you need to be letting go of for that transformation to happen. For me, it's in my second house of income, family, and speech. And so as soon as it's less spicy, like I'm already hearing the call, like I'm ready to write some essays on the pilgrimage that I've been on, and really feeling the call towards like attending to budgets, and spending habits. And there's also things I can, feel some things resonating around family as a concept, kind of thing. And so wherever these themes are landing, like pay attention, be in that, because this energy is very powerful. This new moon in Ardra is an indicator of a very wet monsoon. So we might see in places over the next couple of months that have monsoon weather patterns that it will be very wet. So whether that's an Asian pattern like Indian monsoon or desert of I'm like not Australia, Arizona, different A. Like this, we will see very wet monsoon patterns. Mm-hmm. or does the god of storm? So that's what I got for you, including personal anecdotes of headless activity. Um, how to avoid headlessness? Awareness. Awareness. Everything with awareness, which probably means we need to slow down, which probably means we need lots of rest. So mitigate your summertime activity, enjoy, but like, do you need to be out in the midday heat? Like, can you be drinking all that good coconut water and cooling down? Can you make sure that your sleep, like your rhythms, you're eating and sleeping at the same time? Your body's gonna love that. So I'm gonna pause here and